Every confident person has one thing in common: they command themselves. When fear rises, they act. When doubt speaks, they don't listen. Confidence isn't built by waiting for courage. It's built by obeying your higher mind when your emotions try to lead. This audiobook is not about feeling confident. It's about training your mind to follow orders. You don't need more belief, you need more command. And starting today, you will learn how to build it. Chapter 1. Stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness is an illusion. It always has been. Every person you've ever admired, every confident voice, every powerful decision maker, every top performer, started before they felt ready. That's the truth you need to accept right now. Because the moment you wait for readiness, you hand your future to fear. You're not supposed to feel ready. You're supposed to act anyway. Confidence doesn't appear out of thin air. Confidence is not a gift. It's not luck. It's not natural talent. Confidence is the side effect of command. It's built through movement, not motivation. You don't wait for confidence. You build it through command. Every time you act when you don't feel ready, you're sending your mind one clear message: I am in charge. Not my fear. Not my self-doubt. Not my excuses. That's the key. The greatest mistake most people make is believing that they need to feel prepared before they move. They think, when I'm confident, I'll take the leap. But that's backward. The leap creates the confidence. The action builds the trust. The doing creates the belief. You gain confidence by keeping your own word, not by collecting inspiration. Every time you hesitate, you reinforce weakness. Every time you move, you reinforce strength. You have a choice. Every single day you have a choice, to act in command or to wait in fear. Think about athletes. They don't wake up feeling ready to perform at their best. They wake up and do it anyway. A sprinter doesn't know if they'll win until they explode off the line. A fighter doesn't know if the punch will land until they throw it. A soldier doesn't wait to feel brave before stepping forward. They move because the mission requires it. Action first. Emotion second. Emotion follows motion. Always. You don't act because you're confident. You become confident because you acted. That's the formula. And it never fails. Waiting is the language of fear. It sounds like, I just need to plan more. I need a little more time. I'll start when I'm ready. That's not preparation. That's paralysis disguised as planning. Stop dressing up hesitation and calling it strategy. You're not missing information. You're missing movement. You think you need more clarity. But clarity comes from motion, not meditation. Move first. Think later. Act, adjust, improve, repeat. That's command. The confident mind doesn't wait for the perfect conditions. It creates momentum and adapts on the way. That's what separates leaders from the lost. The insecure wait for permission. The confident give themselves the order. You don't need their approval. You don't need the right mood. You don't need the perfect timing. You need movement. You need command. Because the longer you wait, the stronger your fear becomes. Fear grows in silence. It feeds on hesitation. But the moment you act, the fear loses oxygen. It collapses. It dissolves in the face of motion. Confidence is a pattern, a neurological imprint. Every time you act in the face of doubt, your brain learns that discomfort doesn't equal danger. It learns that fear is survivable. And when your brain knows you can survive fear, it stops running from it. That's why action is freedom. You don't need to destroy fear to move forward. You need to stop obeying it. You have to lead your mind like a soldier leads a team. Clear command. No debate. No delay. I'm not ready. That's not a reason. That's resistance. And resistance is your invitation to move. You've been trained to believe that readiness equals safety. But that's a lie. Safety keeps you small. Safety keeps you still. Readiness is a trap that's dressed as responsibility. When you tell yourself you're not ready, what you're really saying is, I don't trust myself yet. But trust is earned through command. It's earned through doing what you said you'd do. Every small promise kept becomes another brick in the foundation of self-trust. And that foundation is where confidence stands. You don't build confidence in your head, you build it in your calendar. You build it in your actions, your follow-through, your daily repetitions. You tell yourself, I'm going to do this. And then you do it. That's the system. Simple, ruthless, effective. If you want to stop doubting yourself, stop breaking promises to yourself. Confidence is just evidence. Evidence that you can rely on your own word. So act. Even when it's small. Even when it's ugly. Even when no one is watching. Because movement creates proof, and proof creates confidence. Every successful person you admire has mastered this skill. Self-command under uncertainty. They have trained their brain to obey their mission, not their mood. That's the difference. Not talent. Not luck. Not timing. Command. They've learned that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action despite fear. They've learned that emotion can scream, but they don't have to listen. And when you learn that, everything changes. You stop being reactive. You stop seeking perfect conditions. You stop waiting for someone to save you. You start leading yourself. That's what confidence actually is. Leadership of the self. Let's be honest, the version of you that waits for readiness never grows. It overthinks. It overanalyzes. It plans its potential to death. But the version of you that commands yourself into motion, that's the one who evolves. You don't need a perfect plan. You need to make a decision. You need to take a step. You need to build proof. Because every step you take, no matter how small, whispers one truth back to your brain. I can trust myself. And that whisper, repeated enough times, becomes confidence. So here's your command. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to feel fearless. Stop waiting for conditions to be perfect. Start. Even if you shake. Even if you doubt. Even if you fail. You don't wait for confidence. You build it through command. You've taken the first step. You've learned that readiness is not the goal. Obedience to your higher self is. You've learned that fear is not a stop sign, it's a test. Now it's time to take that foundation further. Because if you've learned to move without readiness, the next skill is learning to control the one voice that can still stop you, the voice in your own mind. Chapter 2. Command your inner voice. Your self-talk is the control center. It's the voice that drives your actions, shapes your identity, and decides how far you'll go. If you don't command it, it commands you. You can train your body all you want. You can read every book, watch every video, study every strategy. But if your internal voice is weak, your external life will follow. Everything you do, everything you are, starts with what you say when no one is listening. That voice inside your head can build you or break you. It can be your greatest ally or your most persistent enemy. And most people never learn to control it. They let it run on autopilot, repeating fear, repeating doubt, repeating old stories that keep them small. They let that voice talk them out of progress, out of discipline, out of confidence. You have a choice. You can be a victim of that voice or you can become its commander. That's the key. When your inner voice says, I can't, you stop it. When it says, I'm not enough, you correct it. When it whispers, maybe later, you speak over it. Because every time you allow negative language to repeat, you're programming your mind to obey weakness. You think you're being realistic. You think you're just telling it like it is. But what you're really doing is reinforcing failure before it even happens. Your brain listens to everything you say, especially the things you say to yourself. Every word becomes instruction. That's why your self-talk must be commanded, not ignored. Commanding your inner voice starts with awareness. You cannot fix what you refuse to hear. So listen to yourself for one day. Really listen. How often do you criticize? How often do you say, I can't, I'm tired, I'm not good enough, this never works for me? Every one of those phrases is a small seed of surrender. And every time you repeat them, you water them. You feed the weakness. The problem isn't the world around you, it's the conversation within you. To change your life, you must change your language. To build confidence, you must build command over the voice that decides your limits. Start small. Catch one negative phrase and replace it. I can't becomes I will. I'm not ready becomes I'm preparing. This is hard becomes this is my training. Do that often enough and your mind starts believing you again. You don't need fake positivity. You need accurate language. Commanding language. Language that pulls you forward. Your mind doesn't respond to your wishes, it responds to your words. So speak like the person you want to become, because your mind is always listening. Every command you give it becomes your next behavior. If you say, "I always mess this up," your brain prepares to fail. If you say, "I've got this," your brain starts searching for proof. That's how you build internal momentum. You tell your brain what to focus on and it obeys. You've done it before, in reverse. You've told yourself you couldn't do something and you didn't. Now it's time to use that same power for creation, not destruction. Think about the most resilient people on the planet: athletes, soldiers, founders, survivors. They all have one thing in common: strong inner dialogue. When things get hard, they don't crumble into complaint. They command themselves through it. The runner hitting mile 20 doesn't say, "I can't finish." They say, "Keep moving." The entrepreneur watching failure doesn't say, "It's over." They say, "This is feedback." The soldier under pressure doesn't think, "I'm scared." They say, "Focus, execute." That's not arrogance. That's mental discipline. That's self-mastery in motion. You've been taught to think confidence is about feeling good. It's not. It's about talking strong when you feel weak. That's what command means. It's the ability to lead your emotions instead of obeying them. When your mind starts whispering fear, speak louder. When it starts feeding you limits, feed it orders. Say, "I will finish. I will learn. I will adapt. I will lead." Every "I will" is a declaration of power. Every "I will" reclaims authority from your fear. This is how you build self-trust, one sentence at a time. There's a reason top performers use affirmations, not the fluffy kind but the functional kind. They use short, direct statements to train their mind to obey, because the mind is programmable. The same way your muscles respond to repetition, your thoughts respond to repetition. You can rewire your inner voice through consistency. You can make your default response confidence instead of doubt. You can make strength automatic, but only if you speak it often enough to believe it. Your words become your instructions. Your instructions become your actions. Your actions become your identity. That's the cycle. Every time you complain, you weaken your command. Every time you give power to excuses, you lower your authority. But every time you speak with intention, every time you declare who you are and act in alignment with it, your confidence compounds. You don't need to prove yourself to others. You need to prove your voice to yourself. So speak like a leader. Speak like someone who trusts their own word. Speak like the person you're becoming, not the one you used to be. Because your mind will follow the loudest voice. Make sure it's yours. This is how you start to master yourself. Not through emotion but through instruction. Not through motivation but through command. You don't wait for your thoughts to change, you direct them. You don't listen to your fear, you give your fear an order. You have a choice every day. You can obey the voice that doubts you or you can obey the voice that drives you. That's the key. That's the difference between hesitation and confidence, between paralysis and purpose. Confidence begins when you take control of your own conversation. You've learned to act without readiness. Now you've learned to speak with authority. Your internal language is your greatest weapon. Sharpen it. Use it. Command it. Because every thought you correct is another step towards self-mastery. And every time you lead your inner voice, you remind your mind who's in control. You're not a follower of emotion. You are the commander of thought. And that's where unshakable confidence begins. You've started to master your words. Now it's time to master your focus, because a disciplined mind is the foundation of command. Chapter 3. Focus is a muscle. Train it. Focus is not a gift. It's not a personality trait. It's a muscle, and most people never train it. Your focus determines your confidence, because attention is the foundation of belief. When your mind is scattered, your confidence is fragile. When your focus is firm, your confidence becomes unbreakable. You cannot command yourself if you can't command your attention. That's the truth most people ignore. They chase motivation, they chase inspiration, but they never learn to hold focus long enough to build anything real. Every time you lose focus, you lose power. Every time you hold focus, you prove you're in control. That's the key. Your attention is your energy. It's the most valuable resource you own. Where your focus goes, your life follows. Yet most people treat their attention like it's unlimited, scrolling, switching, checking, reacting. Their attention is hijacked by every notification, every headline, every voice louder than their own. And then they wonder why they feel weak, why they feel uncertain, why they can't stay consistent. Scattered focus creates fragile self-belief. Because when your attention is pulled in every direction, you can't trust yourself to follow through on anything. If you want confidence, start with focus. Because focus builds credibility, not with others, but with yourself. Every time you hold your focus on one task until it's finished, you send your brain a message: I do what I decide. That repetition builds self-trust. And self-trust becomes confidence. Confidence is not magic. It's not luck. It's focus, multiplied by consistency. You have to train your focus like you train your body. That means deliberate practice, not casual effort. Start with time blocking. Pick one task. Set a timer for 60 minutes. No distractions, no interruptions, no switching. It's you and the task. Nothing else. When your brain screams for escape, don't. When it begs for a break, hold the line. That moment is your rep. That's your mental gym. Every time you hold your focus, you prove you're in control. That's your workout. That's how mental strength is built. The next exercise, single tasking. You don't need to do everything. You need to do one thing well. Multitasking is a lie. It's not efficiency, it's self-sabotage. It splits your attention, fractures your power, and weakens your confidence. Single tasking is self-command in action. It's the decision to be all in right here, right now. When you're talking to someone, be there. When you're working, work. When you're resting, rest. That's presence. That's focus. That's confidence. Because confidence isn't loud. It's quiet certainty in what you're doing right now. The third exercise, focus sprints. Think of them as short bursts of deep concentration. 20 minutes of total immersion. No phone. No music. No multitasking. After 20 minutes, take a short break. Then sprint again. You're training your mind to enter focus faster, stay longer, and resist distraction. This is how professional athletes, special forces, and peak performers operate. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on trained focus. They understand that focus is endurance. The more you train it, the longer you can hold it. The longer you hold it, the more power you command. Focus creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. When your focus is scattered, you start doubting yourself. You start questioning everything. You lose sight of your mission. But when your focus is directed, your energy sharpens, your decisions become faster, your execution becomes smoother. You stop asking, "Can I do this?" You start saying, "Watch me." Because focus eliminates noise, and noise is what feeds doubt. Let's be real, distraction is modern-day weakness. The world profits from stealing your focus. Every app, every ad, every platform is designed to fragment your attention. But here's the truth, no one can steal what you guard. You have to become a protector of your own mind. You have to treat your attention like sacred territory. Because it is. When you control what you give your attention to, you control your life. And when you control your life, you no longer need external validation. That's real confidence. To train focus, you must eliminate noise. That means cutting off unnecessary input. Silence the notifications. Schedule your social media. Say no more often. Every no to distraction is a yes to power. And the more you choose focus, the more you reinforce discipline. Remember this, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your focus. If your attention is weak, your results will be weaker. If your attention is disciplined, your results will compound. Every time you hold your focus, you prove you're in control. Here's how you measure progress. At the end of the day, ask yourself, where did I place my attention? Did I scatter it or did I direct it? The answer tells you exactly how much control you had today. Because confidence is not about how you feel, it's about how you direct. Focus is direction in motion. Stop letting your focus drift into things that don't serve you. Stop feeding your energy to distractions that don't pay you back. Start practicing concentration like your future depends on it, because it does. When you train focus, you train self-command. When you train self-command, you train confidence. Every moment of focus is proof that you can lead yourself. Every moment of distraction is proof that you surrendered leadership. You have a choice always, so start small. Pick one thing today and give it your full attention. Don't chase 10 goals halfway, chase one goal completely. You'll feel it. You'll feel the clarity. You'll feel the strength that comes from controlling your mind instead of obeying every impulse. That's what confidence actually feels like. Quiet control. Focus is a muscle. Train it daily. Protect it fiercely. Strengthen it deliberately. Because every time you hold your focus, you prove you're in control. And that proof builds unshakable self-trust. You don't need perfect circumstances. You need trained attention. Once you master focus, distraction loses power. And once distraction loses power, your confidence has no ceiling. You've learned to command your focus. Now it's time to learn how to use it, not just to start, but to finish. Because focus without follow-through is wasted energy. And the next chapter is about turning your small wins into unstoppable momentum. Chapter 4. Win small, command big. Confidence doesn't come from talking big. It comes from winning small. Every small promise kept builds evidence. And discipline is the proof that turns belief into certainty. Most people wait for a breakthrough, some massive event to flip a switch in their life. But that's not how transformation happens. Transformation is built, brick by brick, through the small, unglamorous acts of discipline that no one sees. Wake up when you said you would. Finish what you start. Keep your word, especially when no one's watching. Because that's where self-trust is forged. That's where command is born. Small wins compound into unshakable confidence. That's the key. You don't become confident by saying, "I'm confident." You become confident by collecting proof that you can rely on yourself. Every micro-win, every time you follow through on a simple commitment, is a deposit into your confidence account. Every time you break one, you make a withdrawal. It's that simple. Confidence is built on consistency. Consistency is built on discipline. And discipline is built on small wins. You have a choice. Keep chasing big outcomes or start mastering small actions. Because small actions create the foundation for big victories. Think of it this way, when you keep small promises, your mind learns one thing: you can be trusted. You said you'd get up at 6 and you did. You said you'd go to the gym and you went. You said you'd focus for 1 hour and you did. That's proof. That's data. That's self-command in action. And it compounds. Because every time you prove yourself right, you erase a little more doubt. You stop wondering if you can, and you start knowing that you will. That's how confidence grows, not by luck, but by evidence. The reason most people never build confidence is because they keep breaking agreements with themselves. They say they'll start tomorrow. They say they'll try harder next week. They make promises their actions never back up. And then they wonder why their self-belief is fragile. Here's the truth. You cannot respect a person who lies to you, even if that person is you. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you teach your mind that your word means nothing. You destroy credibility with yourself. And without credibility, confidence cannot exist. But the opposite is also true. Every time you keep a small promise, you rebuild that trust. You rebuild command. You rebuild power. That's the real work. Don't chase perfection. Chase consistency. The person who wins is not the one who does it all perfectly once, but the one who does it imperfectly 1,000 times without quitting. Wake up on time. Finish your workout. Plan your day. Do the small things completely. Those are not meaningless habits. They are proof of leadership, self-leadership. Because if you can lead yourself in the small, you can trust yourself in the big. Confidence is not built in a single victory, it's built in repetition. Every repetition of discipline reinforces one belief: I am in control. The athlete who trains daily, the artist who creates consistently, the builder who shows up every morning, they all understand this. Their strength doesn't come from talent. It comes from proof. Proof that they can count on themselves. Proof that they finish what they start. Proof that they can command their energy even when they don't feel like it. And that's the difference between people who talk about confidence and people who live it. You want to know why small wins matter? Because they create momentum, and momentum destroys hesitation. You win the morning by getting up when you said you would. You win the day by finishing what you started. You win the week by showing up again and again, especially when it's inconvenient. That's how you build a pattern of reliability. And that pattern becomes your identity. You're no longer trying to be confident, you are confident. Because your life is proof. Let's make this real. Here's how you train it. 1. Start your day with one small promise. Make it specific. Wake up without hitting snooze. Read for 10 minutes. Stretch. Whatever it is, do it every day. 2. End your day with one completion. Finish a task. Clean your workspace. Review your goals. And every day knowing you followed through on at least one thing. 3. Track your consistency. Write it down. Watch your streak build. Because confidence loves evidence. The more visible the proof, the stronger the belief. These are not random routines. They are confidence training. And here's the repetition you must remember. Small wins compound into unshakable confidence. Say it again. Small wins compound into unshakable confidence. Because when you train your mind to value small victories, you start stacking results faster than anyone who waits for perfect conditions. The difference between success and stagnation is not scale, it's consistency. The most dangerous lie you'll ever tell yourself is, it doesn't matter. It does. The 5 minutes matter. The single rep matters. The daily discipline matters. Because all those small things are not small, they're stacked proof that you lead yourself. Every small win is a command to your brain. I decide what happens here. And when you make enough of those commands, your mind stops doubting and starts obeying. That's confidence. That's leadership. That's self-mastery. Stop waiting for giant wins. Start collecting small ones. Stack them, protect them, celebrate them. Because confidence isn't built in a day, it's built daily. You don't have to change everything today. You just have to win one small battle. And then another. And another. Do that long enough and you'll look up one day and realize you've built something unstoppable. Because small wins compound into unshakable confidence. You've learned to build trust through small victories. Now it's time to protect that trust, to stop the habits that drain your discipline and weaken your command. Chapter 5. Detach from emotion, stay on mission. Emotion wants comfort. Command wants completion. And when those two voices collide, you discover who's really in charge. Every person chasing mastery faces this moment. The point where the body says stop, the mind says quit, and emotion begs for escape. But the mission doesn't care how you feel. The mission only cares whether you finish. This is where real confidence is built, in the space between how you feel and what you do. Because the truth is simple, you are not your feelings, you are the one who decides. That's the key. Most people live at the mercy of emotion. They follow moods instead of principles. They chase motivation instead of consistency. They wait to feel ready instead of commanding themselves to act. And that's why they never finish anything. Because emotion is unpredictable. It shifts, it wavers, it collapses under pressure. But command, true self-command, doesn't negotiate with emotion. It observes it, acknowledges it, and keeps moving. That's discipline. That's power. That's control. When you detach from emotion, you don't become cold, you become clear. You stop reacting and you start responding. You stop being pulled by impulse and you start being guided by intent. This is what elite performers understand. This is why Navy SEALs, Special Forces, and top performers train to stay on mission no matter what. In training, SEALs are pushed past exhaustion. No sleep, freezing water, constant pain. Emotion screams, stop. Command whispers, go. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on obedience to the mission. Because when you're on mission, emotion becomes background noise. The body may shake, the mind may resist, but the command remains, complete the task. You can apply this same principle to your own life. Every goal will test your emotional control. You'll face boredom, frustration, fatigue, and fear. Those are signals, not stop signs. When your mind says, I'm tired, command says, finish the rep. When emotion says, take a break, command says, one more set. When doubt whispers, what's the point? Command answers, the point is completion. Detach doesn't mean suppress. It means separate emotion from execution. You still feel the fear, but you don't feed it. You still feel the fatigue, but you don't surrender to it. You acknowledge emotion, but you obey command. Confidence doesn't come from feeling good. It comes from doing what matters even when you don't. It's the ability to move forward in discomfort, to stay composed under stress, and to lead yourself when emotion is loud. Every time you follow through despite emotion, you reinforce leadership over yourself. Every time you let emotion lead, you reinforce weakness. Detach doesn't make you robotic, it makes you reliable. You stop making decisions from impulse and start making them from intention. You don't need to eliminate emotion, you need to discipline it. Because emotion is a signal, not a steering wheel. You feel it, but you don't follow it. Here's how you train it. 1. Recognize emotional impulses in real time. When you hear, I don't feel like it, pause. That's your cue that emotion is trying to take control. 2. Label it. Say it out loud. That's emotion talking. By naming it, you separate yourself from it. 3. Act anyway. Take the next step. Every time you act despite emotion, you strengthen the muscle of command. This is what mastery looks like. Not the absence of emotion, but the dominance of mission. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop waiting for motivation. You know what must be done, and you do it. That's how professionals live. That's how leaders think. That's how confidence sustains itself. Every time you choose completion over comfort, you rise. Every time you silence emotion and follow through, you grow. You start to realize your feelings are temporary, but your results are permanent. You are not your feelings, you are the one who decides. That's command. That's completion. And that's where confidence becomes unshakable. You've learned to act without readiness. You've learned to speak with authority. You've trained your focus. You've built trust through small wins. And now, you've learned to detach from emotion and stay on mission. That's self-command. That's leadership. That's mastery. You don't wait to feel strong, you act strong and strength follows. You don't wait for certainty, you create it through completion. So finish. Command. Because the mission isn't about comfort. It's about completion. And that's how you build an unshakable mind.